This is how one man's passion for creativity and innovation turned a near-bankrupt company into a billion-dollar entertainment empire and one of Disney's biggest moneymakers. Except, there was a time this visionary was going to destroy the company altogether. It's 1985, and Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, has just been fired from his own company. This was a moment 5 years in the making, ever since John Sculley became Apple's new CEO and made life increasingly difficult for the founder. Sculley and Jobs had very different management styles and strategic visions for the future of Apple. Jobs, being a passionate innovator, was driven by a desire to create groundbreaking products, while Sculley, the seasoned executive, was focused on achieving financial stability and market share. So when tensions between Jobs and Sculley reached a boiling point in 1985, the two powerhouses fought in an epic boardroom showdown. The board, fearing that Jobs' aggressive tactics would jeopardize Apple's success, sided with Sculley, and Jobs was stripped of his duties and fired from the company he co-founded. Now, with a bruised ego and a burning desire to create something extraordinary, Jobs set his sights on a new opportunity. He takes a few Apple employees with him to create a startup and make his own computers. He calls it Next. When the graphics in his computer seem subpar, his sales decline. That is, until George Lucas decides to sell his graphics team. Jobs realizes this is how he will save his second company, and thus, Pixar was born. Before Pixar became the household name we know today, it was a small, ambitious team tucked away within the computer division of George Lucas's Lucasfilm. Founded in 1979 as the Graphics Group, their primary focus was on developing cutting-edge computer graphics and hardware technology. At first glance, this tech-focused company seemed like an unlikely match for the visionary Steve Jobs. But in 1986, Jobs saw the potential in Pixar's technology and the talented individuals behind it. He recognized that their work could revolutionize the world of animation, and he decided to take a leap of faith. But it's not easy. Jobs is practically bleeding money. Employees are dropping like flies, and there is no hope in sight. Pixar is struggling to stay afloat, and they need an idea fast. At this point, the world of computer animation is still in its infancy, and the path to success is uncertain. If they wanted to survive, they'd have to pivot focus. John Lasseter, Pixar's chief creative officer at the time, came up with a game-changing idea. Back in 1988, he used Pixar's cutting-edge animation technology to create his own animated short film called Tin Toy, which went on to become the first-ever animated film to win an Oscar. Despite Pixar having exceptional technology and Oscar-winning talent, they were still selling their tech to other studios, and John suggested, why not produce animated films ourselves? And there began Pixar's journey into creating some of the most iconic animated films. Jobs was eager to save the company and agreed to take the gamble. He sold Pixar's hardware business for $2 million and shifted focus to making animated short films and commercials. This move carried significant risk, but they needed funding, and fast. Jobs soon entered negotiations with the most prominent studio he could find, Disney. Recognizing the potential in animated films, Disney believed Pixar's talent gave them a competitive edge, and thanks to Steve Jobs, Pixar managed to secure a $26 million contract with Disney to produce 3 films, the first of which was Toy Story. But even after that deal, Pixar was still struggling, and Jobs needed another miracle to sustain the company. He decided to increase the stakes for their first movie with Disney, planning for Pixar to go public right after launching their debut film. This could very well spell the doom of Pixar, because if the first movie flopped, the company would have to close down shop. If, on the other hand, the movie was a success, they were looking at a $1 billion valuation. After placing Pixar in a risky position, Jobs and his team gets to work. 1995. Pixar's first full-length feature film, Toy Story, is released to the world. The film is a massive hit, shattering box office records and earning widespread critical acclaim. With its dazzling animation and heartfelt storytelling, Toy Story showcases the power of computer animation and solidifies Pixar's place in the industry. And with the success of Toy Story, Pixar's fortunes begin to change. The once struggling tech company was now a major player in the entertainment industry, producing hits like A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., and Finding Nemo. Each film further cementing Pixar's status as a pioneer in computer-animated storytelling. And it was all thanks to Steve Jobs' faith in the company's potential. The man who was once fired from his own company proved to the world that his first success was no fluke. If he got his way and got to keep innovation and passion at the heart of his ventures, he could replicate Apple's success 10 times over. And that he did. By the early 2000s, Pixar's contract with Disney was coming to an end. The two companies initially had difficulty reaching a new agreement, with Pixar seeking more control over their films and a larger share of the profits. The negotiations stalled in 2004, and it seemed like Disney might cut ties with Pixar. But as luck would have it, Bob Iger took over as CEO of Disney, and he recognized how much Pixar could improve Disney. He believed that acquiring Pixar would not only bolster Disney's animation division, but also reinvigorate the company's overall creative culture. So, in January 2006, Disney announced that it would acquire Pixar in an all-stock transaction valued at a whopping $7.4 billion. This groundbreaking deal made Steve Jobs, who owned more than 50% of Pixar's shares, the largest individual shareholder in Disney and a member of Disney's board of directors. As part of the agreement, Pixar's leadership took on significant roles within Disney's animation division, ensuring Pixar's unique creative vision and culture wouldn't dissolve or disappear within Disney. And as we know now, the Disney-Pixar acquisition proved to be a resounding success. The two companies have since collaborated on numerous critically acclaimed and commercially successful films like Up, WALL-E, Toy Story 3, Inside Out, and Coco. The combined forces of Disney and Pixar have solidified their position as a dominant force in the animation industry, delighting audiences worldwide with their captivating storytelling and groundbreaking technology. This is all because Steve Jobs allowed passion and innovation to be at the forefront of his operations. But the story doesn't end there, because while Steve Jobs was working on improving Pixar and taking animation to new heights, Apple was going through some troubles. After Steve Jobs' departure in 1985, Apple continued to develop new products, but the company faced a series of challenges that ultimately led to a decline in its fortunes. Without Jobs' visionary leadership, Apple struggled to maintain its cutting-edge reputation and found itself grappling with issues such as increased competition, lackluster product releases, and internal strife. Throughout the late 1980s and 1990s, the tech landscape was becoming increasingly competitive, with companies like IBM and Dell quickly gaining significant market share in the personal computer industry. Microsoft's Windows operating system, in particular, posed a major threat to Apple's Macintosh, as it became the dominant OS for personal computers worldwide. In a desperate attempt to gain back its status, Apple released a series of products that failed to resonate with consumers or capture the imagination of the tech world. Some of these products, like the Newton PDA and the Macintosh Performa series, were major disappointments. It was the end of Apple. In addition to failing in the market, Apple's internal dynamics also suffered during this time. The company experienced a series of management shakeups and shifts, leading to a lack of clear direction and vision. The absence of a strong, cohesive leader like Steve Jobs made it difficult for Apple to regain its footing and effectively respond to the rapidly changing tech landscape. Right on the verge of bankruptcy, Apple decided to acquire a promising startup to fix its problems. Next. Now with Steve Jobs back in the company, climbing the ranks, Apple embarked on an era of unprecedented innovation and growth. He spearheaded the development of a series of groundbreaking products such as the iMac, iPod, iPhone, and iPad, which not only revolutionized the respective industries, but also re-established Apple as a dominant force in the tech world. Steve Jobs' journey with Pixar and his eventual return to Apple is a story full of ups and downs, and it shows the founder's tenacity and determination through it all. Jobs made his career revolve around innovation and took a huge risk with Pixar by taking it public, but he also saw the potential in the company and was confident his team had it in them to make it a success. His decision went on to save Pixar and make it a global powerhouse while also reshaping the animation industry forever. It goes to show that if you prize passion, innovation, risk-taking, and perseverance above numbers and stability, you can potentially change the world and create something extraordinary.